The overconsumption of caffeine led to the death of a healthy 16-year-old boy on April 26, 2017. This came from a youth health website warning teenagers and young adults the effects that caffeine can have on their body if they consume too much in a short amount of time. As a caffeine drinker myself, this made me really concerned about the effects it was having on my body, and my interest was piqued, so I did a lot of research on the topic. Caffeine is a normal part for most Americans' everyday lives, and because of this, I think it's important for us to know the effects it's having on our body. Therefore, I'm going to talk about the positive effects of caffeine, the negative effects of caffeine, and how much caffeine is too much. So to start with, most people use caffeine for its positive effects. In an experiment done by a group of researchers, 50 people were given a dosage of caffeine and 50 people were given a placebo. Compared to those given a placebo, the people who were given caffeine performed better on a harsh braking test and on a shifting attention test. This is because the people who were given a caffeine felt more awake and alert during their performance. It works this way because caffeine acts as a central nervous system stimulant. Caffeine can also lead to decreased risk of suicide, improve athletic endurance, and even reduce fatigue and protect against dementia. In another experiment done by researchers, researchers monitored the amount of caffeine and energy drinks that soldiers drank while stationed in Afghanistan. For those soldiers who were required to stay awake at all times of the night, their caffeine consumption was often higher than soldiers who had normal sleeping schedules. This is because their duties required them to stay awake and alert during combat. And the Army is even testing new ways to provide soldiers with caffeine, and one of those ways is through caffeinated gum. And on the flip side, the consumption of caffeine can also lead to multiple health issues. So as stated in a Healthline article called The Effects of Caffeine on Your Body, caffeine can cause rapid heart rate, muscle aches, fertility issues, increased blood pressure, and caffeine in the bones. And caffeine in the bones is where it doesn't allow calcium to absorb, and it may increase the risk for osteoporosis. Caffeine can also cause sleep disruption because it can stay in your body for up to 14 hours. And in severe cases like the one I stated earlier, can even cause death. So according to the coroner who operated on the 16-year-old boy's body, the teen suffered from a caffeine-induced cardiac event causing arrhythmia stemming from an abnormal heart rhythm. So over the span of 3 hours, the caffeine consumed a cafe latte, a large diet Mountain Dew, and an energy drink, causing him to collapse on his classroom floor. So very tragic, and so the amount of caffeine you consume depends on your body weight and how it affects you. Finally, the last thing we're going to discuss is how much is too much. This kind of relates to my last topic. So there's a fine line between a healthy amount of caffeine that can help combat different health issues like dementia and an unhealthy caffeine that can cause the deterioration of someone's health. According to a Rawhide Youth Service study, the daily recommendation for a 46-year-old is 45 milligrams, which equals a 12-ounce soft drink. For a 7 to 9-year-olds, it's 62.5 milligrams, and for a 10 to 12-year-olds, it is 85 milligrams, which is about a half a cup of coffee. However, it is also beneficial to avoid giving your children or any other young child soft drinks or caffeine altogether to reduce their sugar intake. In another study, it explains how 261 milligrams of caffeine a day for 10 years can reduce the risk of dementia symptoms. And that equals about 2 to 3 amounts of coffee in 8-ounce cups. So with all of that being said, caffeine has become a common part of people's everyday lives, and some say they can't even function without it. However, it can cause health risks. Today I've discussed the positive effects of caffeine, like how it can help people fight dementia and stay awake during combat, the negative effects of caffeine, like rapid heart rate, increased blood pressure, and even death in rare cases, and how much caffeine you should consume, you can consume to keep a healthy balance of the two. Thank you.